Good afternoon. I'm Alicia Wilson, and it is my pleasure to welcome you to this week's edition of Entrepreneurship Matters. I want to invite our two amazing entrepreneurs to the screen, Tasha Lee and Eddie Wingrat, and you're going to see why I said they are amazing in just a few minutes. This is a real treat for us. We know that successful entrepreneurs are not built in a day. It takes undiluted passion, a lot of hard work, multiple failures to make it happen. And these two entrepreneurs are no different. This is, I deem, the most flagrant, the most beautiful smelling, flagrant entrepreneurship matters that we've ever had with two flower entrepreneurs. We started this 45 weeks ago. So you are our 90th entrepreneurs that we've been featuring on the amazing businesses here in Baltimore. We're just glad to have both of you. Let me give you the background on both Eddie and Tasha, and then we were going to jump right into the conversation. Tasha Lee is the owner of Tasha's Flowers, your personal florist who specializes in custom and unique to you floral designs for every moment of your life. While her business is fairly new to Baltimore, she is not new to Baltimore. She's a native, a graduate of a Dunbar poet, and a proud Dunbar poet, and a graduate of the University of Baltimore Merrick School of Business. She has created a business for over 24 years of personalized pieces. Let me give you a little bit of her journey. On December 31st, 2017, she rebranded her business using name recognition and her personal image to launch her new niche weddings and events company. By offering lush designs, high quality blooms, and outstanding customer service, profit margins easily double. We're going to talk about that doubling. It's a good fact for the other entrepreneurs watching. But with the pandemic, Tasha was forced to pivot or panic, and she pivoted. In February 2021, she scaled up her home-based business and opened the doors to a full-service retail outlet in Belvedere Square. Huge accomplishment, Tasha. Over the years, she has expanded her design portfolio with advanced trainings, continuous learning, and pitch competitions. Now you can find her in her store. We're going to take a little tour, creating complex designs like ceiling installations and flower walls. Her business is 100% Black woman owned and operated, and her branded name is quickly becoming well-known and was recently recognized in the Baltimore Business Journal, Florist Review Magazine, Sheen Magazine, and was recently featured on Fox 45 and WJZ TV. Welcome, Tasha, to this discussion.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Now I'm going to present to some and introduce to others Eddie Wingrat, who is the founder and president of Flowers and Fancies. He graduated from Long Island University in 1971, and in that same year, founded Flowers and Fancies in Stevenson, Maryland. In October of 2001, he moved Flowers and Fancies to Owings Mills. He has two sons, Eric and Ben, both of whom work in the business, and two grandchildren, Lucy and EJ. His business employs 38 people full-time and 6 people part-time. It's a huge contributor to our economy. His 49 plus years in the flower business have given him the opportunity to daily use his experience to impart that knowledge on his great people. Many on their team have stayed with them for over 2 decades, and some have gone on to open their own businesses. They've serviced thousands of families and businesses throughout Central Maryland. I can tell you he is the florist of choice for so many people I know. They offer a unique blend of high quality experience and empathy in every transaction. He says that selling a single rose to a customer over the counter is the same as selling 100 tables for a convention. Good advice for all the entrepreneurs listening. And each transaction is important to the buyer and the recipient. They only have one chance to get it perfect. He has many, as I said, he's provided flowers to many people on occasion and life cycle events. He provides to many of the hotels, clubs, restaurants, event venues since 1971, funeral arrangements, as well as live instructional classes. I hope those come back online, it on person and in Zoom. And he is the sort of businessman that he says we always try to get to the yes. Welcome, Eddie. It is really a pleasure to have you on as well. Let's get right into this conversation. Again, this is a beautiful Entrepreneurship Matters, and talk about what inspired both of you to want to be entrepreneurs. You could have chosen to do anything, but you chose to be entrepreneurs. So Eddie, why don't I start with you, and then I'm gonna go to Tasha. What's 1971, you graduate college and then you start Flowers and Fancies. What inspired you to do so?
Well, in a short story, and I'll try to be brief, I really applied to law school in 71, and I was denied entry by University of Baltimore. My LSATs were too low. So at that point, I also got engaged and was not employed. So I answered an ad in the newspaper, and the ad was for a flower store in Hamden. It was called Village Flower Mart years ago. And I worked there for a couple of months. And one day I was I was actually in a funeral service setting up, and a customer came in. The mother of the deceased came in, and she was not satisfied with what the flowers looked like. So I called the owner and I said, look, we're having a situation here. I mean, that was what my instincts told me to do. And I was only 21 years old, but I kind of understood where this lady was coming from. And I tried to have him do something about it. And what he did was nothing. And at that point in time, I decided that I can do this much better than he can. I'm going to go do this. Why not? So I've always been working. Been working since I was 13. I used to walk the ponies, for anybody that's listening, at the old Windy Valley Farms. That was my first job at age 13. I always liked the jingle of coins in my pocket, and that's what I was making back then. So at age 21, it seemed very, very logical for me to go open up a business. Had I known now what I know then, it wouldn't have been so logical. But that's the opening part of the story, and it will always stick with me in that fashion.
That's a really great story around how your experience as an employee fueled you to say, I can do this better. I can provide this service. And she's right. The customer is right. We should provide a better service. I think an excellent story. Tasha, how about you? What inspired you to go into entrepreneurship?
Well, much like Eddie, I never planned on being in the floral industry. And to his point, part of my story is I was at a local craft store, and it was Christmas time, and they had Christmas wreaths on all four walls. And I just looked up and said, well, these must be the ugliest and most expensive things I've ever seen. And I can do that. I'd never done anything crafty like that before. I had never worked with flowers. I didn't know what I was doing. I just decided one day I can do that, and I got started. So it wasn't even something that I sought out to do. It wasn't something that, I had a passion for. We didn't have plants at home. We lived in a concrete jungle, so there was no grass around. And I went from making Christmas wreaths to, I heard about a flower school, and I was shocked. I was like, are you serious? Like, there's an entire school for that? They teach you to do this? And I went to school for it, and I just completely fell in love with flowers and designing, and that instant gratification that we want customers to have. What that lady was looking for the funeral. She was looking for happiness, and that's what I strive for. And that's how I became an entrepreneur, just wanting to provide a better product than what I had seen being offered before by people who were supposed to be the experts at it.
I mean, I think both of you just say so many things. You went into the niche in the marketplace. You saw the void, and based on quality. First, it was just based on quality.
Yeah.
Quality of services. I think just an excellent example. Let me shift. So both of you go and you see a void in the market. You looking at wreaths. Eddie, you're looking at what is produced for a funeral, and you say, I want to start my business. Tell us, how did you go from that decision to building a business? And we have many people, and I know this is the time when folks pull out their pads and their paper to take notes. How did you go from an idea or concept to actually opening up and beginning to sell to customers? I'll start with you, Eddie, and then Tasha.
I'm sure that Tasha has a very similar answer. And what I will say is that everything that we've ever done is due to the request of a customer. When we opened the first time, we were, if you would, event decorators, even though our first event was only 2 centerpieces. The fact of the matter is that that's our first call. Our first call was to send a couple of arrangements for a party. The idea of having to have trucks or send to funerals or to send gifts to hospitals or any of those things that we've gone on to go into was not even a thought process. I never even knew what it meant. I mean, the understanding of what the floral business was or is had no consequence on any decision that I made. What was every consequence is what a request was from a customer. From there, we went into plant business. In fact, this is a quick story about Hopkins. I just found a photograph. We are approaching our 50th anniversary. 50 years ago, there was something called the Hopkins Fair on the grounds of the University or Johns Hopkins University. We displayed there garden plants. For some reason, we were selling garden plants, maybe because it was nice out and we should be selling garden plants. And that's really how we derived every decision that we've ever made. There was an opportunity, we took the opportunity, and we went into the plant business on that day. Here, fast forward 50 years, we had the opportunity to work the graduation for Johns Hopkins University, and we were called on to decorate the stage and other accoutrements at the graduation. So, whatever a customer really desires, and it's within the floral realm, that's something that we really want to accomplish. Our motto, quite frankly, is if there's a flower or plant anywhere in this city or anywhere in this central Maryland, we would like it to be ours, is really the way we work.
I get that. And you said a couple of things that you went after the market demand and the requests that you would receive. And flowers are something that's so personal. They provide happiness or comfort, right? People buy them for 1 or 2 reasons. And so meeting the demand, I think is great advice for those to how to build the business. How about you, Tasha? How did you go from those wreaths you saw in the store, they were ugly and expensive, to saying, I'm going to start a business? What were your steps?
So for me, it was really methodical. So I went from selling the wreaths to my church and doing craft shows and fairs to wanting to learn how to make a centerpiece. It seemed like that was just like magic. Like, how do you get those flowers to stay in place? I couldn't figure it out. So I went to school for it. And at the time, the flower school, it was called Retail Floristry, and it was at Dundalk Community College. So I went there, and it was an 18-month program, a very long, very in-depth program. So I would also interject to say, anyone who's looking to be a floral designer, this is not a 1-week, 6-week thing. So if you see someone offering that, what they're offering you is an introduction into floral design. There are way too many aspects of it, and you'll never, we evolve all the time in this industry. So getting back on point, I went to school for it, and I learned so much, and they teach you everything about the principles of design, to period pieces, to containers, and how to build a display from scratch. And after I left there, I said, okay, well, this is nice. You know how to play in flowers. Good job. But do you know how to run a business? No, you don't. So then I decided I need a business degree. And so I went to the University of Baltimore. Sorry, Eddie, that's my alma mater. Yeah. I went to the University of Baltimore, and as much as I hate statistics, it was part of the program, and I needed to take them and pass them to get that business degree. And I chose to do a marketing focus because I understood that whether I'm working for myself, someone else, that marketing is always necessary. And it is the heartbeat to every single organization, whether you're for profit or nonprofit. You need to know how to market that business once you decide we have a business to market.
Yeah.
And from there, I opened up my first flower shop. I was so excited, but it was also during the recession. And I'm not sure if you recall, you know, we got different things from the media. Yes, we are in a recession. No, we're not in a recession. We were in a recession. Yes. And I lost everything from that period of time. I mean, everything. I was one of those people who lost the business, the house, the car, the job, everything. And then I gave myself a few years to get back on track. And then I eased back into it. I just started doing prom flowers, something easy and simple, doesn't require a lot from me. I don't need to store a lot of flowers. And then I just took baby steps. You know, I don't compare myself to anyone. I'm in competition only with myself. And from there, I just grew and I decided, okay, I'm really, you know, picking up speed here.
Yeah.
What do I want to do? So I say, well, you know what? I love weddings and I love events. And if I do weddings and events, I don't need a retail space. I don't need to do that because this is really where my heart is. And so I rebranded from one business name and I started using my social media name. And that worked because people were already calling me Miss Flowers. You know, they were already calling me Tasha Flowers. So to rebrand the business under that name and use my image, it just worked. In the first year, didn't make a lot. Year two, 2.5 times as much in profits. Just by grinding and being faithful to the end result. You have to deliver quality every single time. You have to go for that wow factor every single time. There are no do-overs. I can't come back and refresh this bouquet. I can't stick another stem in this hopper. It has to be right. I have to nail it every single time. And as a small business with a much, much smaller team, but very dynamic and very nice group of people that I work with, we have to be very lean and nimble, and we have to get it done. And we do. We get in there, we set it up, make it look gorgeous, and then when the event is over, we come back, take it away like nothing even happened.
I think you said so many rich things about one, you know, you did the friends and family route, right? So you're making church for your friends, family. Then you went and got the knowledge and the education to help supplement the business part. So you know that you have the talent. Now, why do you run the business? And I think that you also talked about the pivot and the dealing with the recession and then building comeback, which I think are all really inspired. Let me make sure everyone knows. You also, I see you already putting questions in Facebook, putting questions in the chat. Keep those coming. I will weave them into the conversation. Also, you may text them to 22333 and type JHUWL in the message. I'll get all of those. I'll get all of those comments and questions, and I'm going to weave them into the conversation with Eddie and Tasha. Let me build off of something you just said, Tasha. Sure. I'm going to go to Eddie because I know that you're used by many people, Eddie. Beautiful. How did you go about building your clientele? You know, you start 1971, you're at Hopkins doing plants, but how did you build the business that you have now?
It's a great question, and it's never answered. We've gone through shaking hands. We've gone through there used to be 5 telephone books in the city of Baltimore alone. There was the opportunities to go knock on doors. There were lots of networking. There's still lots of networking. We did not know what the internet was, just like anybody else did 20 some years ago, but we stumbled through and opened up a first website so that we could at least be in line with what the rest of the world was doing. And, you know, you begin to sense that there's some kind of following. And once you do events or once you do personal situations that occur for these life cycles, I should say, for these people, the biggest thing for us is word of mouth. And that is something that you can't buy, you know, that to do a great job And as you so eloquently put in the beginning of the program today, is that every transaction is important. Every single transaction is important because you never know who's going to be told what happened.
Mhm.
In fact, another short story, there's a lady that works for us who came to us not as an employee, but came to us as a user of our products. And we were asked to design for them for a nonprofit, and we did a marvelous job for them. It was beautiful, and the arrangement itself was really, there's nobody that could have done anything better at the price we were offering, but we did not get the job. We didn't get the job, and I was upset, but that young lady came back to me, and when she told me face to face that we lost the job, this is what kind of person she was, I offered her a job because she was so good. So the interaction, her name is April, by the way, should anybody out there want to know. She's a lady who really had no idea of what was happening, just like I didn't. But in the end, there was a mesh, and that's what really happens with all the customers. You try to make a mesh, you try to solve a problem, you try to make sure that they're extremely satisfied, and it is literally one at a time. You can buy a mailing list, or you can buy all of your Instagram likes. You can do anything you want out there, but unless there's a personal contact with someone, unless they've had the experience, that's where you gain their confidence over and over again. And that's really what it's about. It's multiple times over time. Tasha said that. It's over time that you build your clientele.
Mm-hmm. And you know, we reached both of you because you have such great reputations in this marketplace. Eddie, I've known of you. People send me your stuff. Tasha, we had so many people reaching out to us about Tasha's flowers, and we have to feature her. How did you build that clientele? Why were people calling me? How did you create that?
So what I've been known for doing is creating a unique experience for that person, right? Mm-hmm. I consider every person to be different because you are. And so when we create designs for you, we really want you to feel like this one was just for you. No one else in the world has it. Yeah. And when I started making Christmas wreaths, I've been doing that for 24 years, and I've never done the same wreath twice, ever. Wow. So I always tell people, you're literally getting a one-of-a-kind original. No matter what someone else does, no one else on the planet has what you have. And we carry that same mantra through every single design, regardless of the occasion. It could be birthday, it could be sympathy, it could be just because. The goal is give this person something just for them. So even if we have designs on our website, like our Posy bouquet is extremely popular, but I make sure that it doesn't look exactly like the last one, because this one is yours and you're different from that person. We want you to feel special and appreciated. We don't want to sell you anything that's canned, including weddings. I always tell brides, I'm not going to sell you a canned wedding. I just cannot do that. We need to create something that speaks to you, something that's just for you. And that's how I've been able to build it over time, and then completing that life cycle that Eddie talked about. It's not enough just to send the person the flowers. We give them calls, we follow up. How are your flowers doing? Did you follow the process that we told you for managing your flowers? And once you've done that, then we offer something different to them. But you do have to complete that life cycle because people are important to us. Every sale is important, and we want folks to leave value, even if they were the recipient. So that's how we've been able to do it successfully.
Excellent advice, and so many rich gems you're giving off. So many beautiful flowers y'all are both giving off, and I'm going to make during this whole thing. I'm sorry, I can't. Okay, so let me get to this question, which has come up a couple of times in the chat that folks have asked, which is, both of you are in full bloom, right? But you didn't start out in full. Started out maybe as little buds. So tell us, how were the first couple of years of business for you? You know, we see where you are now, 24 years in, almost 50 years in. But what were the first couple of years of business like for you, Eddie? And then Tasha, I'd love to hear your thoughts as well.
Well, I was too naive to know, so it really didn't make any difference. All I did was try to find somebody to make flower arrangements and find a driver to drive the flower arrangements around the city. I like Tasha, really, the regard for the customer was the only thing that mattered. And to look at books or to look at the numbers or to make projections or there was no time to go to school. There wasn't any time to do anything except do everything that there was to do in the business. But I want to answer your question this way, because I think this is one of the most important things that anybody that starts a business or is in a business, and those that have been around for a while will testify to, is that you have to have great people. And that was my number one desire, was to find people that would at least understand what I was talking about and then would be able to execute what I was talking about. And that's how we've grown. We haven't grown because I'm so great. We haven't grown because the name of the business is so great. We've grown because of the people that have come to work with us are so great. Another quick story, because I think it's important for everybody to know, there's a lady here named Kristen, who's been here over 20 years. Who came to work out of a doctor's office because she was ready for a change. And she drove over, we interviewed, she took the job, and she left after one day. And then she called back and said, I think I really want to take the job. And you know what? I kept her on, and Kristen was the one that developed our first website. And she was the one that is now probably is the funnel for every customer service issue that comes through the business. Why? Because she knows how to talk to you, and she knows a lot about everything that goes on. And I could go on and on with those stories, but for me, it was a method of in the madness was to find people that get it and want to work, not sit on their hands, and understood how to articulate and understand how to empathize. And that's what business is. If you can empathize with what's on the other side of the counter, which is what I like to call it, it could be on end of an email or the end of a telephone call or across the counter, you can help them do what they're trying to accomplish. And that's what I look for. So that's how we built our business. And the money part came later, to be quite honest with you. The figuring out, how am I going to pay my bills? And now I have to deal with vendors because I'm late, and oh my God, my truck broke down. What am I going to do now? I have to go buy another truck. Those were the incidents that occurred in the first 5 or so years. And you learn how to do them because you're on the job. You want it to work, and you actually have to do things yourself. And that's what an entrepreneur does. An entrepreneur, I had to learn how to arrange flowers. Okay. I had to learn to speak Spanish. I was across the table from a lady that we hired that didn't speak English. So I was teaching her how to design, and I wanted her to be good. She's still here. And I love that story as well. I took the time to make sure that I could communicate with her. And that's all this is. That's all any business is communication. And if you get that part and forget about the money for a little bit, yes, you have to accumulate enough money to expand if that's what you want to do. But at the same time, your money problems go away if your people problems are solved.
Such good gems for entrepreneurs. We have many entrepreneurs come on here and they talk about the people element. But I think you put it really, really well in the sense that you get the people, get that right, get the product right, the service right, and the money will come. I think really motivating comments. Tasha, how about you? How did you, how were the first couple of years of business, and what were some of the principles that got you through that period of time?
The first couple of years were nerve-wracking. I was, oh my gosh, I was so stressed. I did not, with all the education I had, with all the resources I had gained, I had never been responsible for managing a retail location by myself.
Yeah.
And I quickly learned exactly what Eddie said. You need people, and you need good people. It's not possible for me to have my hands in the flowers and taking orders. Someone has to help me And so you need a good team of people to support you. There's no way in the world that we can do this on our own. It's a fast-paced industry, and you need people who are friendly. I would rather have a person who enjoys smiling than someone who can pump out 10 designs in 10 minutes. Because the person who's smiling is going to be more engaging, and that person is going to make other people that come through the door feel good.
Mm-hmm.
And Eddie said another great important part, you need people who want to work. There's always something to be done. There's always something we haven't completed. And you need people who are really looking to work. This is a manual labor industry, right? We're one of those few industries where no matter how hard folks try, we can never be replaced, ever. And we'll always be here, cradle to grave. We'll be here for you at some point. You know, that's what I always say. You may not need a brain surgeon, but at some point in life, you will need a florist, and we'll be there at every stop of the way. So just remembering and learning that I need people around me, and that's what we're doing now. We have a small team. I am still looking for excellent people who want to work and who have a passion for this industry. And just making sure that we stay ahead of things, stay in front of things, you know what I mean? And making sure that every product that goes out the door, we can stand behind. I need to love it. If I don't love it, you're not gonna love it.
Mm-hmm.
So just, Eddie nailed it. It's all about having a really great team in front of you and behind you to keep your brand in good standing.
Absolutely. Now, both of you have weathered the storms. No flowers came off of the bush, and no leaves off of the trees. And the biggest storm that we've all just gone through and hopefully coming out of is the COVID pandemic. So a number of individuals watching have asked about how did you navigate COVID, and what did you have to make adjustments through this time period? I'll start with you, Tasha, and then go to Eddie. How did you navigate this time period?
Let me start by saying to everyone, there are always opportunities in the storm. Don't ever forget that. There are always opportunities in the storm. And for me, opening a retail outlet and coming from home base was my opportunity in the storm. The flower industry didn't really suffer through COVID for several reasons. One is the most obvious. COVID took away a lot of loved ones. And when that happens, we are here as helpers in this industry to get you through that process. So we sold sympathy flowers. We sold a lot of sympathy flowers. We sent flowers to people's home to help them to grieve. That was one thing. And then you're home. So all of those projects that you said you were going to do that you never got around to doing, you did it. And then once you did it, you wanted to decorate. You needed plants. You wanted flowers, and you liked the way it felt. You wanted to keep that process going. You can't travel, right? But birthdays still happen. That calendar is chock full of birthdays, anniversaries, gatherings of 1 to 2 now instead of 20 to 50. We bridge the gap. You know, if you're in Oklahoma, but mom is here in Baltimore, you still want mom to have flowers. So we're sending those flowers to her. We're doing the things that people could not do. You can't come from Oklahoma to Baltimore right now. Now you have to quarantine here for 15 days, but you only need to visit for a couple of days and then go back. You have a life in Oklahoma. Yeah. You know, so we really didn't suffer. And again, for me, it gave me the opportunity to expand my business. So I saw my opportunity in the storm and I took it. But I didn't take it by myself. I hire professionals to help me along the way. I have a broker and I have a real estate attorney. I had to make sure I was well covered. And my attorney, she's phenomenal. And she helped me to navigate through an area I have no expertise in. So there are opportunities in the storm, but just make sure you go well equipped. Don't just jump out there because it feels good. Try to take some steps before you take that leap, before you go out there, before you make a major purchase or you do something that you've been wanting to do, but you weren't really sure. Get yourself a team of professionals. Get yourself an insurance agent. You need all of these people on your team before you sign anything. And if you can, save up some money and be very frugal. Be very frugal of your life and save as much as you can. You should always do that anyway. You save more than you spend.
Yep.
But if you're looking to do this, be frugal with your spending and save more.
Excellent advice, and your story of just putting in perspective the pandemic, because I did spend more money on flowers during the pandemic than I have ever spent in my life. You're so right. How about Eddie? How did you weather the storm? How did you get through?
Well, I appreciate what Tasha was saying, and it gave me a chance to really think back to last March. March the 13th was the worst day of my business life. March 13th, 2020, it was a day that we decided that we had to lay everybody off. The whole company was laid off. And we were advised to do it because we weren't allowed to open. We weren't allowed to operate. The governor, everything was so new. I don't want to get into all of those things, except for the fact that through COVID, I learned who our people really are. In fact, I just wrote this in our internal newsletter yesterday. So the timing is right. And the memory of what really occurred came up for me this past week because I wrote about it yesterday. Our head designer, Kristen, who couldn't come to work, had 2 babies at home, was beside herself because she couldn't help. She was stuck at home. Our sales team our event sales team was pretty much finished because there were no events, there were no venues that were open, there were no funerals over 10 people. We couldn't send funerals out to any place, funeral flowers out to any place. And these ladies communicated like it was, let's figure this out. What are we going to do? We went into, I don't have enough time to go into all the things that they soundboarded about, but pulled us into the conversation. We finally were permitted by the government to open up. We have a delivery business, and that was very important to a lot. And exactly what you said and what Tasha said, I'll echo. Flowers were a big hit amongst people that received them and people that were wanting to say something to somebody. And it was an easy way to send the card message. That's one of the things that we've always impressed upon us inside here. It's really about the card message. We utilize flowers as the facilitation of the card message. And you're right, people just wanted to make people feel good. So we assisted them in that. But the idea that there was a possibility took us full circle from the Hopkins Fair 50 years ago. Last spring, we decided to go into the annual business. That means outdoor plants. We didn't know anything about outdoor plants, so we tried it. And my brother and son, Mark and Ben, put together their heads, and we tried. We got some things in. We sold them. They were beautiful. We certainly didn't make any money on them, but we were able to put things in people's homes, and people really saw the color, and they liked it. So this year we went into it, and we were very successful with it. It became part of our line, and it will remain part of our line. So we, out of necessity, as exactly what Tasha said, out of necessity, you find something to bring revenue. You're placed to be an entrepreneur, so be one, and don't feel sorry for yourself. There's not enough time to feel sorry for yourself and poo-poo what's happening. And I'll give you another couple of brief examples because I think it's important. And I don't want to age myself here, but at the same time, in the early 70s, there was a recession that came as well. And there were double-digit interest rates. Anybody that's out there would understand what I'm talking about. And there was an oil embargo, and there was no gasoline. You think this was a gas problem these past few weeks? We could not buy gas. We were in a delivery business and could not buy gas. We had to go to odd even days. And what we did was I shouldn't say this out loud, but I will. We bought a car in Pennsylvania and licensed it in Pennsylvania so we could get gas every day and continue with our deliveries. We were exempt because we had an out-of-state license plate. But to go through we moved our business right after 9/11. The hospitality business was shut down.
Yeah.
If all of you will remember Baltimore, they put up barricades. The convention center was closed. Clubs and offices were closed. There was nothing happening. Airplanes were not flying. We couldn't get any product from overseas. I mean, there's just a bevy of things that occur that are way out of your control that you just have to figure out. And exactly what Tasha said is you figure it out. You brainstorm, you decide you want to stay in business, and you figure out what to do next. And that's what you do. You figure it out. And it does help to have great people. I'm just going to keep echoing that. I don't care if you're a business of 3. You better make sure that besides you, those other 2 people are great. That's important.
Yeah.
Such good. I mean, both of you talk about the challenges and the move. I mean, both of you just such, I guess you are in the happiness business because you're so hopeful about when you talk about the challenges, you're like, the challenge happened, but then you just work through it. You just figure it out. You do this. And I think that that's a really helpful lesson that although both of you are extremely successful, that doesn't mean you don't have cloudy days. That doesn't mean you don't have false starts at points. You figure it out. You're nimble, and that team that you keep coming back to is so important. We do, the team has confirmed that we do have Oprah watching, and I think we may have a couple other people watching. Investors, folks want to know, how can they support businesses like yours, right? So Eddie, you're employing several dozen people. Tasha, several families are represented by your business. That's how I always try to think about it. When I buy from Flowers and Fancies, when I buy from Tasha's Flowers, I'm actually buying from a number of families that are impacted by my spend. So what can we who purchase, those who could invest, those who are thinking about how can we support more businesses like yours to thrive in our community? Are there things that we as individuals and then those as corporate leaders, investors, we could be doing? So Tasha and then Eddie.
That is a great question. And I'm so glad that you posed it. So let me take a shot at it from a different perspective.
Sure.
As a Black woman-owned business, it is very, very important that we are given an opportunity to compete. You know what I mean? Competing and, if I dare say, handouts are totally different. I'm looking for opportunities. I am a great designer, and that's not me just patting myself on the back. That is me echoing the sentiments of my customers and those who come to see me for services. So I'm looking for corporations. I'm looking for organizations and local businesses to come see us, to call us, purchase a subscription. We're looking to do grand pieces for your lobby. We have the skill set. We have everything that we need. And though we're not nearly as a matured business as Flowers and Fancies, we are equally competent and ready to serve. And so I'm looking to break some of those barriers to entry that sometimes we struggle to get through as Black women. You know, I think now we have gotten a lot more traction and people are seeing that, oh, okay, well, I didn't know that you existed. And that's part of that marketing. You have to let people know that you exist. So I'm thankful to be here today to get this level of exposure. And now that you know me, now that you know where to find me, support my business. I'm not saying don't support someone else's. I'm saying include me in your purchases. Come here, see what we have. Everyone has a different style. I design with more of an organic, natural vibe. I love to garden, so I typically design in that way so that it feels natural. It has natural rhythm and movement to it, and it looks more comfortable in the environment that is going in. And Flowers and Fancies has their way, and both ways are great because they both sell. We wouldn't be here if they were not. I am simply expressing that I am looking for more opportunities to compete, more opportunities to serve, more opportunities to scale up and higher up. I'm looking for opportunities where I can expand this business from Belvedere Square into other communities in Baltimore and outside of the state of Maryland as well. So that's what I would say. If you really want to see this business grow, if you want to invest in it, let's talk, let's have conversations. I'm open to it. Being an entrepreneur is hard work. I'm also looking to have an advisory board because it is so hard. And I can't think of everything. It's just, if I could, I would have thought of something else fabulous and be doing that as well. But I can't. I can't think of everything. And I also need to make sure that I understand the risks and rewards of all of those things that I am looking to do. And one thing that I live by, both personally and professionally, is doing a SWOT analysis. And anybody who knows about a SWOT analysis, and it's an acronym for strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. Once you do those SWOT analysis and you keep them fresh, it'll help you to navigate through some of those things that Eddie talked about. You can't control outside things. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
You just can't, but you have to learn how to navigate around that. Will you panic or will you pivot? Was I going to shut my wedding and event business down and go out of business? Absolutely not. No way. I decided to pivot. What else can I do? You know, what else can I do to grow this business? And those are decisions that I made. So I'm looking for people to support those ideas.
Great. I mean, excellent point you just made for all of us who are out here. Think about how to help, businesses like yours and Eddie's thrive in our community. Excellent.
Yeah.
How about you, Eddie? What would you say as we think about how can we have more businesses like yours thriving? What advice do you give as consumers, investors, institutions? What would you say is really important for us to do?
Well, there are several layers in there that you've mentioned. You have businesses, you have consumers, you have investors. You mentioned mentors. I'd be remiss if I didn't mention my mentors from years ago. I'll get back to that, but I think it's important to know that COVID gave us an opportunity to take a hard look of what we've been doing for a long time.
Mm-hmm.
And it also gave us an opportunity to look forward through the window and say, to answer the point of where do we really want to be and what is it that we really want to do? And what COVID proved to us was two things. Number one, we have to control our supplies and where we buy our product, or do we grow our product so that we have product?
Mm-hmm.
Or B, where else can we sell? And those are the things that we've been working on. And if in fact the investor column is out there, that's the direction that we're going. So I'll hopefully answer the slot that you mentioned about investors. I'm here to discuss anytime anyone would like to call, one way or the other. The consumer is extremely important. They're becoming, for us, customers, okay? The consumer is a one-time shot delivered from California with an internet order to somebody who just had a baby. But we would like that customer in California to call back again when that baby's 10 and when that baby gets married, when that baby, God forbid, has a funeral in their family. So, the idea of making us well-known, we're not going to be FTD, if you will, if for those that know what those letters mean. It's an international wire service organization. We're not interested. But what we do want to be able to do is service the metro area and central Maryland, where there's plenty of people and plenty of dollars that can be spent by consumers. And we want to do it well, and we will do it well. But we do want to control our own product. And that's what we're about to do. So that's where we're headed. As far as the consumers, please shop local. This was a campaign that started a while ago American Express does a hell of a job with it. The local chambers of commerce do a hell of a job with it. Through COVID, you heard a lot about box stores being open, and many stores could not be open, but the box stores remained open, or the McDonald's and all of the drive-throughs were open for larger corporations. But these little companies that have, and of which I am one, that have survived COVID, survived because of local purchasing from local customers. So if anybody out there is listening, thank you. Number one, on behalf of every small merchant, and particularly for any of us that are in the flower business, you really assisted us to get through. And the answer would be to your direct question, Alicia, would be to please continue shopping locally.
Absolutely. I mean, for all of us, we always think, how can you make individual decisions every day that contribute to your community? And it's buying from someone that you could potentially shake their hand, right? Where you could potentially, that's what my thing is. I like to buy where I may not be able to because y'all are working behind the scenes, but I like the potential that I could shake the owner's hand. And if I pass that test, I feel good about the purchase that I make. Because I feel like I'm in my own community contributing. Excellent points. We have already started to put both of your how people can contact, purchase, buy, support in the chat. So don't worry. If you want to take ownership of that, you have all of the information on Facebook and in the chat to be able to do so. Let me ask you both this question, last question, and then we're going to do a tour. Eddie, are we doing a tour of yours today?
You're touring me right now.
All right, we got our tour of Flowers and Fancies. We're not seeing the whole behind the scenes. We're going to do a little tour of Tasha's Flowers. We'll end on that note. Let me ask you both this question, which has come in a few times. How has mentorship impacted your entrepreneurship? And I'll start with you, Eddie, because you put that off to the side, but I want you to bring it back and tell us how it's played a role in your business and tell others, entrepreneurs and young people who are watching, what that has done for you.
I never knew what it really was doing while I was having it done to me. I had several people in my life that I will congratulate and have congratulated and thanked over and over. One of which was my grandmother. She was in a business in Philadelphia, and if you ever heard her talk about business, it was always watching her accounts receivable. That's all she really cared about. She was in the office and she wanted to make sure that people that owed her money paid her. She taught me just hours and hours and hours of practical experience. There were two mentors of mine. One is Marty Resnick, Martin's Caterers.
Oh, I know Marty Resnick.
Marty, I met in 1973. I was a baby. He took me under his wing. Hours and hours and hours of time in his office. I didn't know what I was really receiving until, maybe 20 years later. Mm-hmm. Michael Yerman, who had been the owner of Admiral Auto Insurance way back in the day, and then he went into other businesses. He was one of the first to own I guess it was a franchise, Better Homes and Gardens realty company. And he's gone on to other various things through years. Just a wonderful one-on-one talker to me about business. He just wanted to tell me everything he knew. That's all he wanted to do. And that's all Marty ever wanted to do. They weren't instructors at the time. They were tellers. They were telling me how to do things. In the end, they were my teachers. I also joined one group, and I think it's very important for everybody to know that I stuck with for 20 years, which was in fact, it was so enduring for me because every month we met, and it was a bunch of business people in different businesses sitting around a table. It was unheard of back then. And we met, and it was a great advisory board for me, because I could tell the truth in front of people that I trusted about a business that they didn't care about. They cared about me as a person, but they didn't care about the flower business. They just were able to correct me or advise me on many, many decisions through the years. And in fact, I just spoke to one guys that were in my group. I haven't seen him in 5 years. His name is Roger Castle of Communications Electronics. And it was like we just picked up the conversation. And these are the people in your life that you have to have. You don't find a mentor finds you. And when you have it, you'll know it. And the only advice that I could ever give is to stick with it. It might sound stupid, it might sound overbearing, it might sound whatever it is you want to make of it at that moment, especially if you're younger. But these are people that have seen things and witnessed what good and bad is, and can share with you those experiences that you can hopefully use when you encounter them yourself, like COVID, or like no gas, or like 9/11. What do? You group of what you learn from these people. That's what you do. You learn from your mentors.
Absolutely. How about you, Tasha? What
So
played a role?
my first mentor for business would have to be my stepdad, Larry Wright. He passed away about 11 years ago, and he just poured so much into me that I didn't even know that I needed. And I remember one thing he said specifically. He said, when in sales, whoever speaks last loses. So say what you have to say and be quiet. And if you speak again, you lose. Now it's up to the customer. And I remember that, and it worked. So he taught me that. And when I would go out and do those shows, he said, nothing is ever a missed opportunity. Even if you don't sell anything, that's when you market. You find out who else is there and you make connections. So he was my first mentor. And then CCBC's business, make sure I get it right, Center for Business Innovation. I did a pitch competition with them because I was a graduate of that school. And it wasn't just a pitch competition. It was the ongoing support that they provided to me, making themselves available for meetings. I was having bi-weekly meetings with them. Hey, listen, these are the things that I want to do. What do you think about this? This is the path I'm trying to pursue. What do you think about this? What's the best way to get this done? And being open. You know, when you have a mentor, if you want a mentor, be open to the advice and information being shared with you. Otherwise, it's just lip service, and they're not there to give you that. They're there to really pour into you, to help you to avoid some of those pitfalls that they know are out there. And I'm really, really thankful to that, to the CCBC Center of Business Innovation, because they helped me to fine-tune my business plan, get my Google presence out there, which is tremendous for business. So if anyone's out there in business and you don't have a Google profile, you're not doing it right. You need a Google profile. And then just being available to help me to navigate through things that I didn't see coming, or I should have planned for, or it just doesn't make sense, Tasha. What are you talking about? You know, help us to help you make this make sense, because right now it doesn't. And having those real conversations, having those tough conversations with me to keep me on track. I don't have time for missteps. Missteps cost money. And like Eddie said, we have to keep those things in check. You know, I'm always looking at our sales. I'm always looking at what are we doing? And these are the things that they've reminded me, you know, watch your cash flow. Look at your projections. What are you doing? Don't just write these things down for the sake of doing it. And having them to remind me of the importance of being an entrepreneur and the importance of doing it as best as you can, getting as close to right as possible. I wouldn't change it for the world. I'm so glad my stepdad poured into me as a young woman, a mother of 3, and then you going back to CCBC, where I became a certified florist, and getting that continuous knowledge, and just people being willing listen, they don't have a dog in this race, and they're still willing to impart knowledge to you and assistance and being helpful and strategic with you because they want to. They are invested in your success, not anything else. And when you find people who are like that, hold on to them. Kind of organizations that are like that, don't let them go, because you really do need them. We are interdependent, not as independent as we would like to think.
Yeah, absolutely. Let me take the last minute. We want to see your shop really quickly before I wrap.
Okay.
Show it to us in a minute.
Okay. Speed pass. All right.
Speed pass, but don't make us sick. Don't make us seasick. Just show us that.
Okay. All right. So we're going to turn the camera around. So this is the Somewhere Over the Rainbow arch that I created that we now utilize for rentals. And that's where we do our wedding consultations. And over here we have plants and other rentals. And we have a really good amount of succulents. We repot everything because, again, keeping in line with our business model, we want your products to be unique. We don't want it to be off the shelf. Every Tuesday, I do a segment on Facebook in my Facebook group called Home Styles by Tasha, and we do a Tablescapes Tuesday. So we're launching a new service this summer called Table for Two. So that's what we have here. Every week, there's a different theme that I create. My team gets me started, and I come behind them and finish everything off. Here's our front table display. One of the things that we learned in school at CCBC is you need an awesome window display. And we build displays that literally have people coming in, gawking at the window, taking pictures, and we make it a shoppable table. So you can come here and purchase anything off of the table. It's all for sale. Over the weekend, we had Belvedere in bloom. So we had this display outside and we moved it inside. So it was a very tropical theme and just giving people an idea of some of the things that we are capable of doing. And my team is running away.
They're running. I keep seeing them running away. Beautiful job, Tasha.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for sharing with us some of the beautiful, beautiful pieces you have in your shop. Just a gorgeous shop. Excellent.
Thank you.
Let me end by having both of you tell us, how can we get in contact with you? Eddie, tell me, website, Instagram, Twitter, Facebook.
Well, thanks for the opportunity. First of all, the easiest way to get to us is by email, and a very simple way is to email us at service@flowersandfancies.com. The website is www.flowers, I might add, flowersandfancies.com. And we are very active on Twitter, LinkedIn, Facebook, Pinterest, wherever there is social media, is Flowers and Fancies. And we would love for you to see all of our material there, as well as really would like you to come by. We're located at 11404 Cronridge Drive in Owings Mills, right next to Stevenson University. Is really the best place for you to really see who we are. We'll be happy to tour you then. The tour only takes about 15 minutes, but we'll take you to every nook and cranny, and we'll take you into where all the flowers are stored, which is the best place in the building, especially in the month of July and August, because it's about 3,000 square feet of 34 degrees. So you will love being in there when it's 95 outside. Please, you're all invited to look us up or to come by, and we would be happy to see you. We just would be happy to see you.
Excellent. We will be by. I'm going to take a 15-minute tour, go into the freezer, maybe about August 1st, probably be a good time. All
Sounds great.
How do we get in contact with you?
Sure. So the best way to get in contact with us is going to be social media, which is Miss Tasha Flowers. That's MS Tasha Flowers. And we try to keep it simple for you. So that's the same handle on Facebook, Twitter, IG, and LinkedIn. On TikTok, I am the real Miss Flowers. And then, of course, there's the website. Again, keeping it very simple. It's TashaFlowers.com. And if you're looking to email us, you can email us at events@TashaFlowers.com. You can also call the shop,
That's 667-312-2122.
Excellent, excellent. We thank you
Or come
both
by
for being on today. It was the most flagrant and fragrant Entrepreneurship Matters that we've had today. So let me give a couple of announcements and then we're going to wrap up. We will return next week at 1 o'clock for Dr. Kindred of Kindred Hair and Skin Center and Dr. Burgess of the Center for Dermatology and Dermatologic Surgery, two amazing dermatology entrepreneurs. You do not want to miss this. Please follow us on JH Connects on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook. Email us feedback, jhconnects@jhu.edu. Thank you to our community partners, Johns Hopkins University, Johns Hopkins Health System, Hopkins Local, the Mayor's Office of Small Minority Owned Business, the Warnock Foundation, Goldman Sachs 10,000 Small Business, and Bloomberg Philanthropies. Thank you, Tasha. Thank you, Eddie. We really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Bye. Bye-bye.
Thank you so much for having me.
You're welcome.